So the first step is we're gonna take off the collar, this and the shoulder area, and you really have to decide how you want it. If you want it to actually come over your shoulders, then you're gonna want to keep this seam where the shirt is, but if you want it to hang off your shoulders, then you just snip part of that seam off. So it's up to you. I'm gonna have mine hanging off my shoulders, so I'm gonna get rid of that, get rid of those seams, and it hangs a lot nicer the less bits of seams you have peeking out. So let's get started. Okay, the first step is to cut off the lower hem of your t-shirt. So just cut right above the line that the surgeon made. And I find that it's better to cut up a little and just cut one layer of shirt at a time instead of just laying it flat and cutting straight across. This way the line's a lot cleaner, and when it stretches out, it kind of hangs better. Okay, so now I'm going to cut off the shoulders and this kind of collar region. So what you want to do is you want to fold it in half, that way it's symmetrical and it's not higher on one shoulder or lower on the other, so that it hangs evenly, and it helps to take a pencil and you just kind of draw a line that's going to be about 1/4 of an inch under this seam or around the collar, and about 1/2 an inch over from where the sleeve meets the kind of bodice of the shirt. So from here to about here, and you can make it straight across, you can curve, you can have it dip lower if you want a more V-neck. So it's really up to you and the silhouettes you like. Okay, so now that we have that line, you're just going to go ahead and cut. Be really careful, don't cut it out like a kindergartner. You want to make sure you have really, really clean cuts with your shears, and you want to make sure your shears are sharp so that it doesn't ruin this edge of the fabric, since there's not going to be any kind of hem or seam to pull it down. And now there is the collar line of the shirt. And so that's step one, and you can stop right there if you don't want to leave it out. So now it's time to start cutting out the shirt. So what you're going to do is kind of pick it up in the middle, and you're going to want to fold it, and you want to make sure that the seam, well, you can't see it right, but the seam that runs down the sides of the shirts, they meet up. And we're going to start working on the back of the shirt, and then we're going to cut the front. We're going to start cutting strips in the back of the shirt. My strips are going to be about 3/8 of an inch. I just used a seam gauge to measure how big I wanted the first strip, and you just keep cutting along. I'm staying about 3 inches away from the side seam. You don't want to go all the way to the side seam, or else it doesn't hang right. You want to keep 3 inches is probably, maybe 2.5 is the minimum. And so now we're just going to cut this part. So now I'm gonna do the front of the shirt, and on the front of the shirt, I'm still gonna cut strips into it and do the shredding and weaving technique, but I'm gonna do more of a V shape. So I measured 6 inches down and made a mark. So I'm gonna have 6 inches of shredding, and then I measured 2 inches away from that sleeve, from the seam on the sleeves, which is the same measurement I did in the back, so it hangs symmetrically. And now I'm taking a straight edge, and now I'm just taking a straight edge, and I'm kind of connecting it. And I want my last strip to be about 1 inch. So I'm measuring 1 inch out. You measure 6 inches down and 1 inch out from the center fold on the front of the shirt. 2 inches away from the side seams, and now just get a straight edge. And you make a line. And now on the front of the shirt, I'm going to do 1/2 inch seams. And now you just cut to that diagonal. Now that your t-shirt is cut, it should look like this on the front, this on the back. You can see my face through it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to want to stretch your shirt, because all those strips you cut, once you stretch them, they kind of fold over on themselves, and they weave a lot better and they look a lot nicer than the unstretched kinds, and they're a lot easier to work with. So now, if you should put this on the person that you're gonna, that's just put it on a person. I use a pillow because I don't have a mannequin, but it's a lot easier to have it on like a body shape or something that is shaped than to do it flat, especially so that you don't end up weaving the front and the back together. So now I'm gonna go get a pillow. Okay. So I've got this stretched out on an old pillow, and I'm gonna start weaving. So you take the first piece and just kind of like pinch it with your finger and pull it under, and do the same thing, and you just pinch the next one and pull it through. A sewing pin, and you want to pin that down to the shirt momentarily. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to get thread that matches the shirt pretty close, and a needle, and you want to make sure that it's a really, really, really thin needle, because knits, once you get a hole in a knit, they kind of stay there, and you don't need that much thread. So with your needle and thread, you're just going to tack this last little loop down to the top of the next slit in the shirt. Oh. Now for the back of the shirt, we're gonna do the exact same thing. You just keep pulling one and weaving it in and out of the other. About halfway down the shirt, right about here, you're going to go through and weave it a second time. And this way it'll be tighter kind of around your waist, so that it's not, so it'll be loose around the shoulders and your chest, but around the waist it kind of tightens out and it creates a really, really nice silhouette for this kind of shirt. And just, oh, that's off camera, okay. And you can go about an inch down from where you started the second weaving and do it one more time. And I'm holding this last loop with my hand. Now, I'm at the bottom of the shirt, and you want to kind of pull this out. And you cut these two little strips. And you just tie them into the weaving.